Hi everyone, this is Stephen and welcome to my channel. Today we will be looking into an approach which uses this particular pedagogy in teaching and learning. We call it understanding by design. And for our today's lesson, we will be creating and syncing this UbD approach to our one of the topics in ecology, which is energy flow. As you can remember, energy flow is the flow of your energy through these living organisms within an ecosystem. And these living organisms are organized, okay, into different categories: producers, consumers, and those producers and consumers can either be organized into a linear or a circular food chains. Okay, and each of these levels within your food chain is what we call as your trophic level. But before that, as you proceed, I will be giving you a brief encounter or brief background about the UD approach. It's an understanding by design on what Wiggins and McTighe call as backward design, or also known as backward planning. In this particular method, the teachers usually start with the activities and the textbooks instead of identifying the classroom or the lessons objectives, learning goals, and this is more likely towards on the planning side. Okay, and also backward design will always tells us that the teacher starts with the classroom and the outcomes and how the teacher plans the curriculum. Teacher is the one who chooses the activities, and the teachers determine the student ability and foster your student. And this backwards design has three stages. Like first stage will be identification of your desired results for the students. It could be common core standards, or in depth Department of Education, they have these learning competencies that are cited in their science curriculum guides. And stage 1 will define as the students understand that. We will learn that one later. And there are some questions that will guide the learner to better understand, to better accomplish the first stage. In second stage, it's looking into the assessment of learning strategies. And for the last stage, it is listing some of the learning activities that will lead the students to the desired results. And you can see here in face-to-face classes. You really miss that. This quote is coming from Smith and Siegel in 2004. They said that science education aims at imparting of knowledge. Students are educated in part so that they may come to know things. And this is one of the goals of science education. It's knowing and understanding. In the world we're filled in with data, teachers are just not only a guide on the stage. Okay, they're only able to help students to learn like a small number of ideas and facts, and as such, it's very important to know that we give students the tools, and they need to decipher and to understand the basic ideas. And this is what is McTighe and Wiggins technique. If the student is able to transfer the skills that they learn in the classroom and to very unfamiliar situations, whether it could be academic or non-academic, then they are said to be truly understanding, and they could meet the first stage of your UbD design. And this backward design that I've used in the creation of modules is coming from the dig and carry model, which was also known as systems approach model. And these are the particular steps. Okay, this model focuses on the interrelationship between your context, content learning, and instruction, and it addresses the entire system. Okay, since we are looking into the energy flows in ecosystem, later I will be showing you some of the activities that are intended for such approach, and these are just the steps in this particular model. Okay, Dick and Carey gives an emphasis on the system role of the systematic role of this backward design. So let's start with the contents of this module. This is for ecology subjects, and this is the topic energy flow. The target audience would be BS Biology students or those who are enrolled in senior high school, science, STEM, and for junior high school, we could also incorporate this one to them. But in this particular presentation, I look into the CHED, okay, and their program outcomes for the BS Biology graduate with corresponding sample performance indicators. Accordingly, as you follow the steps in your UbD design, it's the first stage would be the desired results. What are these? Stage 1. These established goals are coming from the CHED Memorandum Order number 49 series of 2017, and I placed here this program outcomes and their performance indicators. This is when we look at the students should be able to apply analytical, critical, and problem-solving skills, and the importance of revolving around what we call as the scientific method. It's the gold standard in every lesson in science, and they're also able to interpret scientific data and reflect on relevant scientific issues. Plus, they could carry out mathematical and statistical computations. So this is important when we try to look at the qualitative skills of these students. And the performance indicators, okay, just an evidence on what the outcomes are really intended them to do. Then next will be transfer. They will use independently their learning, okay, for example, this is using the theories to explain natural phenomena, and this is the concept of energy flow that explains the limited length of the food chains, and they will understand this enduring understandings and their following descriptions is 1 to 6. That most ecosystems rely on the light. From the light energy, it's converted to different form of energy, and these chemical energy that is stored in carbon compounds are accumulated or acquired by feeding. This energy is released into the process by respiration and converted to heat, and then living organisms couldn't convert it to heat to other forms of energy, and the heat is lost from the ecosystem. And you will keep considering these following questions, essential questions such as questions 1 to 7, and this is like a higher order thinking skills kind of questions. The process, okay, is being inculcated within these steps in your UbD design. And how to acquire this one, they will be able to know how to interpret DBQ or database questions, and how to collect information, interpret these evidences, and take the appropriate actions. And they will be also good at quantitative skills, like how do they represent this energy using the pyramids of energy from that particular food chain. Okay. For the evidences, okay, stage 2, what are the assessment evidences? In this module for energy flow, I've used 3 DBQs or performance tasks. First will be the insulation, that will be 10 marks, the yellow-billed magpie experiment, and a simple food web. For the first part, the insulation, for 10 marks, this is all about solar irradiance. If you're familiar with this power per unit area that are received by organisms or from an energy form from the sun or the solar energy, that is kind of the electromagnetic radiation, okay, which is measured via the wavelength range of the measuring instrument. And this is again a database question, and this is an example of your global horizontal irradiation. This is coming from the World Bank Group, SMAP, and SolarGIS. This is an understanding in the question. Insolation is a measure of solar irradiation. And this particular DBQ looks at 2 images, okay, with the different color scales. The top is from the annular mean solar irradiation, and below is the annual isolation reaching the Earth's surface, passing through the atmospheres. By the next slide, the students will be answering these particular questions, and they are highlighted based on the verbs that are being used according to the Bloom's taxonomy. And in this action verbs and the Bloom definition, it's really evident that they are looking into the analysis and creating phase of the revised Bloom's taxonomy. Also, with the knowledge, the command terms will be state, describe, distinguish, compare, and contrast, estimate, measure, calculate, and they are not just the basic or the conventional, the rote memorization process in this evaluation criteria. How do we evaluate or to assess the learning process of our students? And for other evidences of learning, we will be achieving the goals or the stage goals by this following formative assessment. And this formative assessment are just homework assessments, okay, from these energy flow lesson. We have also paper and pen tests with multiple choice quiz, and if the class is held blended or full online, we can also use this zip grade or the multiple choice quiz online platform. For the homework, the first homework will all about cyanobacteria in caves. The students will be able to answer this question: if this artificial light was not present, what other energy sources can be used by bacteria in your caves? And they are really stimulating this kind of process of scientific inquiry. Okay, next would be the bush and forest fires, and this is common in Australia. Okay, what we will know what energy is coming from a bushfire, and why do they happen naturally in ecosystems, and what are the two reasons for this hypothesis. Next would be thinking about energy changes, and this is a Naval Academy player, okay, playing basketball. What is the final form of energy, okay, that are required to shoot a basketball? And lastly, we have salmon and soy. This is a formative assessment that is looking at the feeds, okay, that are being introduced in or plant products that are introduced to salmon, okay, and they are increasingly being used. So, in terms of energy flow, which of these human diets are the most efficient? The students will be able to look at these particular choices and explain their reason. And for our next DBQ, this is the yellow-billed magpie, a naturally large bird in restricted U.S. states in California. The next figure will show us an experimentation of the Spica nutali that are put in the cage, and the temperatures are being controlled. The rate of respiration were measured at different temperatures from 10 degrees Celsius to another 40 degrees Celsius, and they were these DBQ questions here, okay, with their corresponding marks are being assessed. Now the data that is being presented to students are looking like this one. So what are the different cell respiration rates at different temperatures in this yellow-billed magpies experiment? And the understanding and the question coming from the first stage. This is Montezuma well. Okay, this is found in Montezuma, Arizona, USA. This is a sinkhole. Okay, and in this next DBQ, or last DBQ, we are introducing these two species: a species of a giant water bug, okay, and a species of a predatory insect, or the water scorpion. And again, we introduce what a sinkhole is coming from underground cavern collapses. This is the Montezuma well in the Sonoran Desert in Africa, which is filled with water. It's an aquatic ecosystem, okay, that's lacking fish. And this is the food web for the Montezuma well. So we have the p-values here below, and we could represent it to the biomass, okay, which is stored in the population of that organism each year. So the questions, okay, coming from those DBQ would be looking like this: compare, deduce the reason, deduce the p-values, construct, calculate, and they are again meaningful for our students because they are assessing the higher order thinking skills. And the stage 3, which is the learning plan, this is how it really happens in the classroom. So we will start with a pre-assessment, which is like a turn and talk. Okay, the students have the opportunity to turn and talk activity for a few minutes. The teachers will be asking questions to the whole group, okay, and having the same students responding, and all the students have a chance to talk in like a non-threatening situation in a short period of time, just to brainstorm and allow the information to be clearly presented to our students. In the first day, we'll discuss the sunlight and ecosystems. I mean, the insolation or the irradiation. For day 2, we will be experimenting the yellow-billed magpies with some of the formative assessment. In day 3, thinking about energy changes with energy losses in ecosystems. And for the day 4, we are trying to look at the periods of energy, which is the quantitative representations of energy flow, a simple food web, and lastly, salmon and soy. It comes with a summative assessment of the last part of the week. And that's it. If you have any questions, you may free to comment your suggestions below, and don't forget to subscribe to my channel. Thank you so much for listening.